It's your boy Concert Vince 34, and today I want to do a review of a show I went to on my birthday. My birthday was yesterday, October 21st, 2017, and just like I have done in previous birthdays, I've gone to either see a live concert or a sporting event. This time it was Umphrey's McGee Capitol Theater, night two of a two-night stand at the Capitol Theater in Port Chester, New York, and my third ever Umphrey's McGee show. So I just wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on it. For those of you who don't know, Umphrey's McGee is a band from the Midwest. They are a jam band. They kind of lean prog rock more than actually mellow, laid back, jammy style like a Fish. They're really going to be a lot more prog rock based, and not that they don't have emotion, but it's going to be a lot more technical than just feeling, the kind of like, like I said, mellow or laid back feeling of other jam bands like the Dead and Fish. So this show was a show where after three shows, it really has started to make me gauge in and become someone who's going to want to see this band a lot more in the future. And I do want to give this perspective for fans that have never seen Umphrey's and fans that have seen Umphrey's for years and years and years, and just kind of want to hear a perspective of someone who's just starting to get into the live portion of them. So I started listening to Umphrey's in 2011. I will say it's a steep learning curve to get into this band. You really have to listen and digest it over a period of time, in my opinion. Maybe some people have hopped into a show from a friend and just love it, and maybe I think if you go to a lot of different bands, like if you go and see Disco Biscuits, Twiddle, Mo, and that's your scene, you'll probably be able to hop into Umphrey's a lot easier than I did, because I got into them in 2011. I was just starting to get into more mainstream jam bands or mainstream bands that mix it up every night. So I think that determines how quickly you're going to be able to hop in and really appreciate what Umphrey's McGee and the band members do. But if you have not ever seen them, definitely check them out on YouTube. There's full shows. I have a couple videos posted, but really there's people that have the taper audio, they mix it with the video, and there's 2.5 hours, 3 hours of content from many different shows. So check it out, digest it, see what you think. You may like it, you may not, but you know what? It's always great to try to listen to a new band. For me personally, one thing that was interesting is I've had the privilege of not only being three shows deep into listening to this band, but I was able to have one previous show, my first show, Boston last year, in I think that was August, that had the full band lineup. And then by fate and horrible fate, Jake, the lead guitarist, got sick, but the band still played on with a guest saxophonist, Joshua Redman, who was going to be there anyway, but they decided to give Joshua a little more liberty in playing with the band. He's recorded with the band. He's sat on many different other projects and concerts, so he's a great saxophonist. So one thing I want to start off with is just talking about three songs that I heard earlier this year in Gunwave in New Haven at College Street Music Hall that were played without Jake, the lead guitarist, the heart and soul, the Tom Brady 12 of Umphrey's McGee, calling out the jams, literally with hand motions, calling out the jams based on the crowd and feeling. He wasn't there, so then I was able to hear three songs in January that I was able to hear last night with Jake. Those were Der Bluten Cat, Speak Up, and Wife Soup. And overall, the interesting thing is it makes you appreciate the skills and energy of Jake, which is he is just a great lead guitarist and a really talented technical guitarist, but that also has a lot of energy. So he has the mix of the prog rock and the jam band, just sway with the emotions of how you're feeling. So definitely a great mix. Now I will say it was cool to hear those songs, like I said, those three songs without Jake, just to give a different feel and to experience it live. And I'll probably never hear this band without Jake, because they'll probably most likely cancel it, or the band will be broken up and it'll be a side project. But really cool to hear some of the open space that Joshua Redman jammed with, and then seeing that open space be filled last night by Jake. So that's just the observation I had I'm sure other people in my boat in the tri-state area, they probably went to see Jake beginning of this year, and he was sick, and I think the doctor said he couldn't travel. And then they came to some of these shows here this weekend in the tri-state area. So cool little thing. And I noticed one song that's interesting is Speak Up. I've heard it all three shows. Again, this is a band that you're not going to get a lot of repeats. So to hear one song every, all three shows, Speak Up, very interesting to see the progression, see the slight changes, but really the band continue to play it over and over, and each time it's more of a staple in the set list. And my friend made a good point. Maybe this is on a live album that Umphrey is planning to release at the beginning of 2018, because it's getting a lot of play. Maybe they've had it in the studio. They're going to go in the studio and sharpen it up and add it there to the next album. What you see a lot with these jam bands, they perform it live, it's unreleased, and then boom, you're able to see it on that next album or even a couple albums later. So we'll see what happens. Oh wow, the Patriots just blocked the field goal. Anyway, let me stay focused. Watching Patriots, go Patriots. But I think that this third show really solidified me wanting to see this band more. It's a band where one of the negatives that I would say is just there's so many songs and there's so many jams that a couple of the songs in the middle of the set I just didn't know enough about. So I think it was Out of Order right before Miami Virtue. Out of Order, I haven't heard it that much. Now maybe some people are, if you're diehard Umphrey fans, you've probably heard it, but I've just never heard it that much. So it's hard to connect to it because I've heard Ringo, which kind of was the first real song after the Flamethrower intro, and I've heard In the Kitchen, and I've heard Cemetery Walk, and I love Cemetery Walk. And Miami Virtue, same thing. Wife Soup, same thing. Glory, same thing. Those songs in the set were my favorites because I know those songs. I've heard 5 different versions of some of those songs, and that's one of the tough things about bands like Umphrey's. You really have to give it time. You have to give it a couple listens. As long as you have the money and you're open to it, you have to go to a couple shows, because the first show you're going to be like, whoa, I tried to study for this, I listened to all this music, and there's still stuff I missed, still stuff that I've never even heard of. I don't even know what it is. But that's one of the great things about live music and affordable prices, that like Umphrey's and some of the bands in their little bracket or ranges. It's affordable to go to these shows, mad cheap. I think our tickets were like $40 for New York, anything in the state of New York, in the tri-state area. We have Fairfield County, Westchester, all those, whatever, tri-state, whatever. And a lot of stuff is expensive, so it was nice just to go to a show which was affordable, which many of these, again, String Cheese does this, Disco Biscuits does this, Umphrey's McGee does this. They really still keep their stuff affordable despite being in this area that has a lot of music fans. So shout out to Umphrey's. Like for $40 balcony seats, just looking straight at the stage, just slight left of center. So really cool thing. Now, the other thing that Umphrey's will do if you're trying to head out to a show, if you're about to head out to a show and you're just trying to get a gauge of what to expect, they will do a very famous cover, or a cover that if you love music, you'll probably know. For this show, they did the national anthem by Radiohead. Don't really listen to a lot of Radiohead, really, when I go back in time and listen to the classic music. Radiohead's not my first choice. I know, obviously, they had a huge impact on music in the 90s, but, I didn't know what it was, but it was definitely a cool song. So this time I didn't know what it was, but, last night they did, 2 nights ago, on the 20th, they did Africa by Toto, and then they did a Tom Petty tribute there. That was, let's see if we can find it here. Just gonna take a quick look. Where was it? I think it was Running Down a Dream. And that, and it's Tom Petty's birthday is the 20th. So they did that as their first show since Tom Petty had passed away. They took a little break. So, yep, Running Down a Dream, which I've heard with Dave Matthews and his band, the Dave Matthews Band. A great song. So they did 2 last for the 20th. Again, Toto, Africa, and Tom Petty, Running Down a Dream. Did 1 for us here, which was yesterday on the 21st. It was again, the national anthem, and you'll get tons of stuff. They'll do funk, soul, rock. And, they really do. There's a range of covers that they do. But I want to wrap up this interview before I bore you guys to death. But overall, definitely a great show. This band is, if you're into jam bands and you've been hearing about Umphrey's, definitely check them out. Give them a chance. You may not like them. You may like them. It may take time for you to like them. But if you're always into looking for other music or new music to check out, I would highly suggest it. In the Capitol Theater, wow. Obviously a very famous theater, but I tend, even though I live in the tri-state, I always go to Madison Square Garden. I go into the Beacon and some other stuff in closer to New York City or in one of the 5 boroughs, usually not Westchester. So finally got out here, finally saw this historic venue that many great artists, especially the Dead, they have a huge history with this venue. It was really cool to get out there, and it's a great venue. Everything's upper. The balcony is really like a mezzanine at some bigger theaters. It's very close. You're on top of the lower level, and the lower level is very intimate, very small. I'm surprised. I can only imagine people trying to go to Dead shows here when they were playing at the Capitol. There's not a lot of seats. There's not a lot of standing areas. So I can only imagine how intense it was to try to get tickets to this intimate venue. So really cool. Shout out to the Capitol Theater. Great hospitality, great security, great bar areas there. Some great beers on tap as well. But again, boy Concertviz 34. Definitely check out all my videos if this is your first time seeing some of my stuff. Very informal. I don't have the flashy, video editing skills at this time. Maybe I'll do that in the future. But I just like to give my opinion on everything from hip hop to rock to classic rock to different jam bands in the middle of all sorts of intersections of music. And coming up, if you guys continue watching my videos, I'm gonna try to do a list of 26 songs that I listened to while running. I just completed my 2nd marathon, and it'll probably be my last marathon, but I want to just do a list of songs that I run to because I love combining my love of running, which is a recent love. I just started running about 8 or 9 years ago here, and I'm 27, so I just picked it up here and right after high school, and I love music. I've always loved music, so I mixed that love of listening to entire albums, entire live shows while I'm running. So I'm going to give you 26 songs, one for each mile of a marathon. And these are 26 songs in no particular order that I like for different reasons while running. But again, your boy Concertviz 34. Like, subscribe, check out the videos. Tell me how you feel, good or bad. Opinions are always welcome. But again, I'm out, and thank you guys for watching this video.